Thanks again for tuning into Moonshine Gaming. Today we're going to be discussing the top 5 rarest and most expensive Panasonic 3DO games. Now, a quick overview about the Panasonic 3DO. This console came out in 1993, which was before the internet and DVDs were a thing, and adult entertainment companies kind of jumped on this and kind of turned it into this like adult-themed console, and they released a ton of adult-themed games. The main company was named Vivid, and yeah, a ton of adult-themed games. So we're not going to be including those on this list because, you know, it's more of just like movies anyways. It's not even really a game. So adult themed games and movie themed games aren't going to be actually included on this list. And by movie themed games, I actually mean TV show themed games. They actually put out TV shows on disc. It was kind of like a DVD before DVDs, and they straight up just put TV shows on disc for you to watch. It was under the 3DO Video Publishing Company. Now we're going to be using North American complete in-box pricing for this list. Now what this means is the game case, instruction manual, and game disc are going to be included for all the prices on this list. So without further ado, let's get into it. First up, we've got Night Trap. This is an interactive movie video game that was released in 1993. The game's presented primarily through the use of full motion video, and in Night Trap, the player takes the role of a special agent tasked to watch over teenage girls having a sleepover in a house full of danger. The player watches live surveillance footage of the house and triggers traps to capture anyone seen endangering the girls. The player can freely switch their view between different camera angles to keep watch over the girls and eavesdrop on conversations to follow the story and listen for clues. The game was one of the principal subjects in the 1993 United States Senate committee hearing on violent video games along with Mortal Kombat. Night Trap was cited during the hearing as promoting gratuitous violence and sexual aggression against women, prompting toy retailers Toys R Us and KB Toys to pull the game completely from their shelves that December.
Night Trap uses actual actors and achieves an unprecedented level of realism. I find this segment deeply offensive and believe that it simply should be taken off the market.
The Senate hearing eventually led to the creation of the Entertainment Software Rating Board, ESRB for short. If you don't want to shell out the cash for the 3DO version of this game, Night Trap was actually re-released on current gen consoles, and you can pick it up on the PS4 and Switch. The current market value of this game is $165.
Okay, I'll be down in a bit.
Next up, we've got Star Control 2. This is an action-adventure science fiction game that was released in 1994. This was a sequel to Star Control and was actually a port of the MS-DOS game, which was released 2 years prior. The MS-DOS version released to critical acclaim and is widely viewed today as one of the greatest PC games ever made. The game features ship-to-ship combat based on the original Star Control, but removes the first game's strategy gameplay to focus on story and dialogue. The player's goal is to free Earth from the evil Urquan by recruiting aliens to help. The main gameplay elements are exploring the galaxy, gathering resources, building a fleet, defeating enemy ships, and conversing with aliens. In 2017, after years of fan requests, the original designers Reich and Ford announced that they would be creating a direct sequel, which would effectively bypass the story from Star Control 3. Due to some intellectual property disagreements, the project was halted briefly, but a settlement was reached and work on the project resumed in 2020. Star Control 2 is a game with a cult following, but still seems to be virtually unknown by many gamers. Its cause and effect gameplay was quite an innovation at the time of release, and has since been duplicated many times by quite a few very popular games. With a great storyline and awesome sound and music, there's really no reason that this game shouldn't be considered as one of the greats. Current market value of this game is $180. Next up, we've got Slopestyle. This is an educational, interactive movie-themed game that was released in 1994. To be honest, this isn't much of a game as it is a compilation of instructional videos. The developer L3 Interactive created the interactive learning cube concept. The way they set up this learning cube was to have an interface with a 3D cube with videos on all 6 sides of the cube. The idea failed miserably, and L3 only released 2 games under the learning cube formula. This game, Slopestyle, and Mathemagics. L3 Entertainment described the game as followed. Slopestyle is a special presentation from the Interactive Learning Cube Entertainment Library. The Learning Cube interface represents a revolutionary form of education that's fun and intuitive, while providing the very best in instructional media. For those who want to do more than just play games, L3 Interactive is proud to present the Interactive Learning Cube. So as stated before, it's a bunch of instructional videos, and this game is solely trying to teach you how to snowboard. The current market value of this game is $193.
Riding fakie or riding backwards is a fun and easy trick to learn. To ride fakie, start a heel side or a toe side turn. Weight your back leg so the tail of your board rotates 180 degrees and slides downhill towards the fall line.
Quick word from the sponsor of this video. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody's sponsoring this tiny channel. But if you guys enjoy video game content, you can consider subscribing to Moonshine Gaming, as we put out video game related videos every single Thursday. And we've also branched off into 2 other channels, Moonshine Gaming Shorts and Moonshine Gaming Plays. So if you're into video game shorts and video game gameplay videos, you can also consider checking those out, and we'll link them in the description below. Back to the list. Next up, we've got Casper. This is a top-view action-adventure game that was released in 1996. The game features an alternate rendition of the film's plot, with some of its dark elements retained, spread across 3 acts. In the game, you explore the mansion, collect jigsaw pieces to solve puzzles, eat food for morph points, and deal with the ghostly trio. Unlike the other versions of this game, other than the ghostly trio and Kerrigan, there are no enemies. The game instead focuses mainly on solving puzzles. The majority of the puzzles in this game are easy enough to keep your attention. You'll eventually open up so much of the mansion that it'll be difficult to navigate. In my opinion, it would have been useful to include a minimap. Nonetheless, the game's addicting, and I appreciate the fact that you can save your progress at any time. The house looks amazing with its decaying and elegant stylings. Kinda reminds me of the Haunted Mansion from Disney. The soundtrack's also fantastic, straddling the line between light and dark. Casper's actually a pretty good 3DO game. Also, just a heads up, if you're playing this game on the Gold Star version of the 3DO and not the FZ10 model, it is not going to play very well. It seems to lag a lot on the Gold Star model, so just keep that in mind. The current market value of this game is $195. Next up, number 1, Lucienne's Quest. This is an RPG that was released in 1996. The story follows Lucienne, a teenage girl who sets off on an adventure to find a cure for a man's lycanthropy, which is the ability for a human to turn into a werewolf. Between adventuring from town to town and exploring the world, the player must battle with enemies using a turn-based battle system on an isometric grid. Reviews were mixed for this game when it came out, with some appreciating the game's lighthearted story, simple game mechanics, and short length, but many found the experience unfulfilling compared to the deeper and more complex RPGs of that time. Lucienne's Quest is portrayed using 2D sprites in a fully 3D world. The bright colored character sprites and distinct environments are some of the best looking on the console. The game runs relatively slowly on the 3DO hardware, with noticeable load times between areas and entering and exiting battles. Overall, the visuals are probably the most charming aspect of the game, especially back in the day when 3D rendering was in its very early stages. I personally love how linear this game is, and not having to worry about completing a ton of side quests. It gave me a little bit of peace of mind when I was playing through the game. The game only takes about 15 hours to play through, and as the only traditional turn-based RPG on the 3DO, this game's definitely worth checking out. The current market value of this game is $1,080. Which game did you think sounded the most interesting on the list? Let us know in the comments below. And that's going to do it for this video, so we'll see you next time.